Afternoon.
We are going to get started. So, Emmanuel, if you would like to introduce yourself and your team and start your presentation, please.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, County Administrator Abruzzo. I'm Emmanuel Perry, Executive Director of the Tourist Development Council, and I'm happily joined by County Administration as well as Palm Beach County's tourism leaders. So from my left to my right, we have Deb Drum, Dave Anderson, Todd Bonlaren. We have Richard Cutting-Miller, who's with CSL, who is the lead contractor for this project. We have George Lindley, Milton Segura, Dave Lawrence, as well as Kathy Griffin. All right.
Thank you.
Today, we're pleased to be providing a briefing on the Tourism Master Plan, which has been developed to guide the long-term growth, sustainability, and competitiveness of our tourism economy. The plan was created and developed by Conventions, Sports, and Leisure International, CSL, for the benefit of Palm Beach County, and provides a strategic framework to ensure tourism continues to deliver a strong economic impact while aligning with the priorities of our residents as well as our communities. Please allow me to introduce Richard Cutting-Miller, Vice President of CSL. Richard will give a summary of the company's accomplishments and recap his experience by developing our master plan.
Thank you, Emmanuel, and good afternoon. My name is Richard Cutting-Miller. I'm the Vice President of Tourism Strategy for Convention Sports Leisure International. I've led a team of 12 world-class experts, researchers, analysts, and strategists over the last 2 years to develop the tourism master plan for Palm Beach County. My personal and experience lies really with destination development and tourism master planning for multiple cities, counties, states, and countries around the world. Most notably, my recent work has included the city of Los Angeles, the state of Hawaii, work for the Caribbean region, and many others. I've served as a board member for U.S. Travel Association and the Caribbean Tourism Organization. I was founder of an online community for tourism development and investment many years ago. And then I also served for 16 years with an organization out of London called the World Travel and Tourism Council, which represented the private sector with government officials and organizations around the world, working with 176 countries to help them understand the power and the contribution of tourism to their economies and how they can use it effectively to grow those economies. As part of CSL International, I've also been very involved with my colleagues who have been in Palm Beach County for a number of years, initially working on the feasibility study for the Hilton Hotel at the Convention Center some time ago, the expansion feasibility study for the Convention Center, and most recently the feasibility study for the second hotel at the Convention Center, which you'll see in this tourism master plan is only increased in importance as we go through our work. I want to emphasize the amount of research, analysis, and engagement that has occurred as part of this project. As I said, it's at this point in time, we're 2 years into this effort, starting with 9 pieces of research, the first one being a 2-week FAM tour of 80 destinations, attractions, venues throughout Palm Beach County. We physically visited, assessed those venues, spoke with the owners and operators to make sure that we understood and had our boots, as they say, boots on the ground in terms of what the opportunities and issues are that they were facing. Secondly, we engaged with more than 100 stakeholders in direct conversations, focus group sessions throughout Palm Beach County in 6 different locations. We wanted to make sure that we engaged north to south and east to west in Palm Beach County and covered all of those who are engaged in travel and tourism and those who had a particular interest in their communities and their relationship to travel and tourism.
Excuse me for 1 second. Just so you know, we are very grateful of doing a thorough analysis and going through this. And it looks like you've also worked with the steering committee
Yes.
members. If we could move on to that, please.
So this effort was guided by the steering committee made up of community leaders, industry partners, and county representatives who helped ensure that the plan reflects a broad range of perspectives, priorities across the county. So the agenda that we'll be briefly covering today, we'll talk about the process, then move into the recommendations, followed by the introduction of the big ideas. Today we'll ask the board to really spotlight the big ideas as they hold the opportunity to transform our county. The team has provided the board with some information on their desk to help with the definitions as we move through this presentation. The Tourism Master Plan was developed through extensive research and engagement. This included stakeholder interviews, resident and visitor surveys, benchmarking across different destinations, a sustainability assessment. This process also included a visionary workshop that brought together tourism leaders and community partners. Through this work, CSL initially identified 96 potential recommendations and 18 big ideas. After rounds of interviews, feedback, and prioritization, the steering committee and stakeholders, we then reviewed that work and brought it down to 50 recommendations and 10 big ideas, with 5 being recommended to move forward and 5 needing further consideration. Most importantly, this effort aligns with Florida State Statute 125.0104, which governs the use of the tourist development taxes. Under this statute, the counties are authorized to utilize these revenues to support tourism promotion, tourism-related infrastructure, and facilities that enhance the visitor economy. Recommendations represent practical and achievable actions that can be implemented within the short to medium term, typically within the next 1 to 5 years. The big ideas, on the other hand, represent transformational concepts, elevating a destination's profile to attract new markets. These initiatives take a longer planning, larger partnerships, and a significant investment. The Tourism Master Plan identified 9 key categories, which collectively produce 50 recommendations designed to strengthen Palm Beach County's economy. Those 9 are branding and marketing, tourism sustainability, community first initiatives, tourism infrastructure, data technology, workforce and education, planning and zoning, strategic governance, and last but certainly not least, the tourism product and the experience development. And Madam Mayor, members of the board, as we move through this presentation, please feel free to jump in and ask any questions. We understand that it's a lot to take in, but we want to be engaged as we move through this process. So the branding category focuses on strengthening Palm Beach County's destination brand while expanding inclusive and multilingual marketing efforts to better reach a diverse and growing visitor base. It also explores new tools such as AI-driven visitor services and the creation of a tourism information exchange and annual tourism expo. So when we reference the tourism expo, that is getting together the hoteliers to partner with the Western community for ag to really do from farm to table and have that connection within our community. We understand that a lot of our hotels and partners outsource their food, but we want to have them start here locally first. The tourism sustainability piece, this focuses on strengthening our resilience and sustainability across Palm Beach County, including maintaining an emergency readiness plan and encouraging responsible tourism practices. It also recommends launching a destination stewardship program and exploring regenerative tourism. So one thing, an idea of regenerative tourism is partnering with ERM. So as visitors come within Palm Beach County, we want to work with ERM. So if you are here for the first time, have our visitors come and give a leave back right here in the county. So whether it's planting or working within our mangroves, so we really want to focus on that aspect as well. Community First focuses on ensuring tourism growth continues to benefit Palm Beach County residents by promoting accessibility, community engagement, and responsible tourism development. It also supports expanding programs such as coastal access initiatives, tourism for the goods efforts, and the business accelerator program. Our tourism infrastructure will focus on improving the visitor experience through enhanced tourism infrastructure, transportation access, and mobility across Palm Beach County. We are engaged with the transportation master plan because we know that further along within this presentation that we have some big ideas. One thing that we want to focus on is moving our visitors along with our residents in and out of Palm Beach County with minimum impact on the residents as they come and visit. So we want to provide them with the excellent quality of experience and still be able to provide them with the proper way to maneuver throughout the county. Data and technology focuses on leveraging what we currently have. So we have a destination demand tool. So we input our different room nights throughout the county to really project key need periods throughout the county in which we need to market. We work as a collective whole. We put that information within our technology-driven tool, and we want to reassure that as we continue to spend these dollars that we're targeting key need periods such as the shoulder season as well as our summer season. Our workforce. So most importantly, our workforce is pivotal to how we continue to move throughout the county. We want to make sure that our workforce has a great support and pipeline and talent development and education programs. So that is partnering with Career Source, working with different hoteliers, and making sure that they understand the importance of providing that workforce to them so our customers can have a great experience while they're here. So our planning and zoning, this category focuses on using our creative tools within our Palm Beach County to make sure that when development goes up, we want to make sure that local materials is being used, the craftsmanship. We're strengthening our countywide creative placemaking efforts and exploring different strategies to enhance our international tourism readiness program. And our tourism product, Palm Beach County needs to attract a broad range of visitors so we can help that they extend their stays. These recommendations include strengthening our cultural arts and tourism programs, expanding our events and festivals, promoting agriculture, as well as our wellness attractions, aligning with the Parks and Rec sports tourism plan. As we continue to grow and develop, we feel that there are some assets within our county that are missing. So we want to partner with the Parks and Rec to be able to launch those initiatives to make sure that we have the opportunity to compete with other destinations. And last but certainly not least, regarding the core recommendations is our strategic governance. So we want to make sure that our agencies are aligned, we have the right people in place to lead the initiative. I do believe my colleagues at this table are the right people to lead this initiative to help unravel this program, but we want to make sure that we continue to unravel as we look forward to bringing Palm Beach County into a better destination. And Madam Chair, I will take any questions regarding the core recommendations.
So the core recommendations of what you're working towards, I like to hear about project-specific things. So what specifically are we currently working on?
So, Madam Chair, if that's okay with this board, you guys want to move on to the big ideas? Okay.
I think, yes, that's what we're all waiting for.
All right. So in addition to the core recommendations, we have 5 big ideas. Each of these big ideas are in ranking order from research, stakeholder feedback, and the visionary workshop that involved the multiple layers of feedback from the community. So as a part of the process, each of the concepts will undergo a further feasibility analysis, including market demand, potential locations, economic and tourism impacts, funding strategies, operational considerations, and alignment with the community priorities. So the top 5 big ideas include a state-of-the-art indoor multi-purpose complex. So one thing that we kind of bounced around was 15 multi-purpose fields, inclusive of 11 indoor basketball courts. As we continue to grow and develop, this is just the ideal and concept, but as we continue to grow and develop, we do understand that the NFL is looking to do a flag football team from that perspective. So if we want to raise our hand to actually have the NFL right here in our backyard, I think that we should. We already host the NFL owners meeting at the Breakers, but just one key asset. The second would be expanding the convention center along with the surrounding assets. So we understand that the convention center is important. We have undergone concept at this board level to To expand the convention center, we are in the process of the negotiations for the second headquarter hotel. Delivering that second hotel, we expect to receive our revenues impacted by 57%. So we'll be able to target a different market that we're not currently privy to, and we're looking to jump into that as well. The third would be pursuing international events through regional partnerships. So that will be partnering with Miami-Dade and Broward to possibly put in a bid to actually host the South Florida Olympics.
Excuse me, Emmanuel.
Yes.
Administrator Abruzzo, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I will be brief. When I first came on, the first meeting I had with the TDC Sports Commission was about the NFL Flag Football League. I think this is worth highlighting in a brief moment. Back then, I had some information. I don't believe the board was aware that the NFL was soliciting bids for pro flag football. And by the way, that's incredible because it's also both female and male pro leagues. We are obviously out of market for the major sport leagues, NFL, NBA, MLB. So we're not, this is our one chance to actually go for a true sport league. So I know Todd just came to our attention last week that one of our government partners is engaging with the NFL in it, and if I could turn it over to him because he knows more about that than I do, other than the fact that it is my full directive that from a staff perspective, we compile all information, have relevant meetings to make sure we are in line to have a credible bid to bring the NFL pro flag here to Palm Beach County.
Yeah, thank you, Administrator and Madam Mayor. We're fortunate enough in our county. TGL has had a tremendous amount of success on the golf side and the golf league. But as the NFL was soliciting on the operational side for this new league, TGL was the winner of that bid in that bid process. So it really puts Florida front and center, and I think Palm Beach County is uniquely situated to really capitalize on that, considering that the owners of that league are residents of ours, and the leadership is here between Central and South Florida. So really excited about that. I know George is salivating just of the thought of thinking about that opportunity here. So
remember, it's an Olympic sport now as well.
that's right.
It's
Yeah.
2028 games. The flags will be a major Olympic sport.
Yeah. So really excited.
And Madam Mayor, if I just one quick comment on this and why it's worth the endeavor to explore. The NFL has, of course, the Youth League, and ESPN televised their championships from 8 years old, all the way up to 13U last summer, because the championships are in the summer. And they took out the entire weekend on ESPN, and their ratings topped the Yankees versus the Red Sox of people watching it. So, I mean, it's... So, we have a great opportunity at hand. Thank you.
And for those of you who didn't hear Commissioner Weiss, he said because they're not the Dodgers. So, Commissioner Sachs, you're recognized.
I believe that we have a girls' flag football team in Palm Beach County that went to the Olympics, and that's from Kaiser University. Some are going to play. Well, as far as I'm concerned, there's one girl on there. We got a girls' flag football team. So we have the talent here. So whatever you can do to promote that would be excellent. Excellent, Mayor. Thank you.
Commissioner Weiss, you're recognized.
If anyone wants to send me a Dodgers hat, I'd be happy to wear it. No, I just, this is really interesting. I'm curious, though, have you identified any possible locations to site something like this?
No, sir. So right now, Commissioner, what we're doing is we're incorporating the feedback of the BCC. We don't want to bring anything before getting your feedback. We're going to look to come back in June with the feasibilities of all the 5 that you guys want to recommend to move forward with processing.
Okay.
Real quick, Commissioner Flores, I wanted to chime in on something. We at the TDC had discussed also, so we do Olympic shooting sports at our sports complex off of Seminole Pratt Whitney. It's actually in District 1. And I wanted them to also look into the feasibility of doing potentially an indoor complex there as well for Olympic sports, and to bring that back with a feasibility of what that would look like, how much dollars, economic impact that would bring us, if anyone doesn't object. All right, I think we're good.
All right, Madam Mayor,
Thank
so we
you.
will bring that back with the feasibility in June.
Perfect. Commissioner Flores, you're recognized.
Yeah, so I was pretty much going to say what were the next steps, and what I understand is the feasibility studies of these 5 big ideas. And I also understand that there's another 5 to consider, right?
Yes, sir.
I'm going to jump ahead, and I'm a big fan of what you guys are putting together. I like the direction that we're going. I think these are all big ideas that we collectively have to work on to get there. But one of the things that I've discussed is that iconic global landmark. I feel like we're missing that. Any great destination has that, and we are a great destination. And I feel like if we can create something that allows the visitors to do the marketing for us, that would be amazing. And what I keep thinking about is that bean in Chicago, right? Everybody takes a picture there. You know exactly where they're at, and people take trips just to take a picture there. I mean, so if we could, I know it's not in the top 5, but I think the impact that it would create in our tourism arm it almost would pay for itself over the long term of the marketing that that ripple effect that it would create, because now people are actually posting that they were in Palm Beach County. They want to come to Palm Beach County to take a picture with whatever it is that we create. So I would kind of like to see that one be moved into the big ideas.
You want it to be a statue of you?
No, that would detract. That would detract from people coming to Palm Beach County.
It was going to be to come visit you.
We want them to come here, not to run away. No, but that would be, and I don't know what that is, and I leave that to the creative minds. But I think that's sort of missing here, because people are coming. Why don't we give them the opportunity to market Palm Beach County for us? So I know I jumped a little bit ahead, but I thought that was, I like the big 5 ideas. I would like to add this 6th one to also be. I'm not saying that the other 4 are not good. I'm just saying that one should be the big 6.
6th man of the year.
Yeah.
And as much as I joke, I think it's a great idea. And especially if we're going to do something like that, I think we should incorporate something that represents everything, meaning I don't want just a big palm tree. I don't need a beam either. But even to Commissioner Flores' point, we have the southernmost point, right? Whenever you go down to the Keys, like everyone knows that's an iconic landmark. You go just stand there to take a picture. So I think it's actually a really great idea. So thank you for that. If you would like to proceed. Oh, Commissioner Sachs.
On infrastructure, mobility, and wayfinding, have we identified, or have you identified, places for example, some of these ideas like the indoor multi-purpose sports complex, for example? Have you begin to identify places within the county that we could build this sports infrastructure to support some of these big ideas?
Yes, ma'am. So we're going to piggyback off the sports master plan, since sports already has that land and is county owned, to really amplify our message right here in Palm Beach County.
So the infrastructure for the sports complex and other indoor places that we're all talking about will be on county-owned land?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And, okay, I'm thinking, all right, okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Commissioner Marino.
So, I like your world-class waterfront events, and as we're talking about these, are we talking about public-private partnerships, 100% county? What is, because when you answer, then I have another comment, so.
So the thought process is to go into it with public-private partnerships. We feel that that's the best beneficial way to proceed. So we're always looking for a partner.
So Palm Beach County has land on the water up in Jupiter, which used to be Lazy Loggerhead, which we've RFP'd a couple times. And there are a lot of volleyball courts around there. This would be an ideal place to do a waterfront venue. And if I'm not mistaken, I think there is an RFP in place right now, 2 months, similar to that. So I would put a check next to the world-class waterfront events and see if that's something we could do. And I would really think that, I know it says a big idea for the future consideration, but waterfront property owned by the county is not something we can grow. So I think we should take every opportunity we can for that property. Thank you.
Commissioner, Vice Mayor Woodward.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Is that the end of the presentation for one? Or, because I was going to go back a little bit. Or,
Would you like us to just finish up the last slide?
is this the last slide? Okay, do
Yes.
that, and then because I want to go back and,
This is the last slide.
all right, please go ahead.
All right. So,
Finish this one. Okay.
So the last two items for the 5 being recommended would be the development of a flagship immersive experience venue. So that would include like something like the Vegas Sphere, the Cosm, which is in Texas as well as California, or Meow Wolf, and that is in Denver and LA as well. So those are some creative, technology, innovative concepts that we think that if people are looking to grow, we should raise our hand as a county to welcome them here, right here in our backyard. Last but certainly not least would be the creation of a high-profile venue or attraction in the Glades region. The plan also identified 5 additional ideas for further consideration, and those will include the wellness attraction, the world-class waterfront events, iconic global landmark, a sports entertainment arena, possibly including equestrian, as well as a racetrack.
Excuse me, Emmanuel. Administrator Bruzzo, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and especially for Commissioner Marino. And a Sphere project or something like that would absolutely, as you probably could assume, be a private-public partnership. We'd have to partner with the experts and those respective. I don't know if you want to address that at all.
I'm sorry.
About the Sphere.
Oh, yeah, the Sphere in Vegas was a total private, I believe, funded by the private sector. With that said, it included a lot of public sector encouragement. The investment there was multi-billion dollars worth of investment, and I don't think we're suggesting that you're going to do that sort of thing here. But they are also looking at smaller scale spheres that will be put in other capital cities, other major cities. So there is an opportunity to invest in that sort of technology at a lower price level.
You're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And just like technology as it's evolved, obviously the Sphere in Vegas was first of its kind, but now it's become more affordable, it's more mass-produced, and other regions around the country are looking. Is that correct?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Woodward, your light is still on.
Yes, thank you. Okay, I was going to go back to slide 9, if you could. Page 9. Oh, was that the end? Did you finish?
No, I finished.
Okay, on this one, I just wanted to say I like the idea, the number 4 on here, of having a county tourism exchange and annual tourism expo. I think that's a good idea. Is that meant to be something that's very local, like all the different types of tourism in the county would all come into one place? Could you explain that one?
Yes, ma'am. So it will start locally, and hopefully it will grow organically. So then that way we can attract the different neighboring counties around to want to participate in it as well. So it will start with our hoteliers and partnering with the agriculture or the farms in the Western community. It will actually, so we will look to host it at the convention center. So we want to do it as an expo, right? So we can have the farms come in there and set up and have the hoteliers go around, look to actually exchange information to partner and actually grow that endeavor.
Okay, well, that's not at all what I was picturing when I read that. Okay, I was thinking more of, because hotels bring people here, but then once they get here, where do they go? And what are all the different types of tourism? The Sports Commission being part of it, culture being a part of it, Film Commission, all of it, kind of coming under one roof. And even food is part of our culture. So having restaurants being able to present themselves. So just sort of a way that, because the way, I'm sorry, when in my mind, what I jumped to was having something that residents could even kind of go and experience all of Palm Beach County under the single roof and then go to all these other places. Or we have organizations that bring convention or bring large groups that come here and we bring them here. So if you're going to have a company that does a President's Club trip and they're bringing all of their employees and their spouses, have them come and have something like this where they can see, okay, yeah, we're going to bring 200 people from this company here. The spouses need to have a day they're going to go do these fun things and spas, whatever it is, everything that creates a reason to come to Palm Beach County and leave your hotel room. So that's how I was understanding it. Is that an option?
That's exactly right. The farms was just one example of connecting a tourism experience with the hoteliers, with the event planners.
Okay.
It is intended to be a broad scale introduction networking event so that the concierges at all the hotels know what's new and fresh and opening this year, whether it's restaurants, whether it's a kids attraction, whether it's a new sports field, so that they have that information to share with their guests. On the other hand, it's giving those experiences and spas and restaurants the opportunity to put themselves out there and to reconnect with the hoteliers, with the other establishments around the county, so that there's a broader exchange of information and awareness for the county. So we're selling as best we can everything that we're delivering.
Okay, well, I would very much be in support of us beginning to do something like this because it's going to benefit a multitude of small businesses that people don't think have anything to do with tourism. Yeah, even people want to get their nails done or hair salons. If they're here for a chunk of time, they want to go do something fancy. Hey, this is close to this hotel. So there's a number of small businesses that would truly benefit from this that's not typically you think of for tourism.
Exactly.
But if people are going to come here and spend money, let's keep as much of that right here as we can. Okay, so moving on to the next page on 10, the number 4 again, the I can't say the word, regenerative. Okay. Tourism pilots in sensitive areas with I just got to do the swamp buggy tour to go out there, but there's a whole part of our natural lands where people want to come here and they want to walk it on foot. And it's sort of a nice little hidden gem that we have, but I don't really want to keep it hidden. I think people should be able to experience that. And there are groups that want to go to places like this all over the world. And I think we're not tapping into that as much as possible. Is that what this would be?
Yes, and we agree. We don't want it to be a hidden gem either. And so we've worked really hard to, we have a Sea to Preserve campaign that's currently ongoing with Discover the Palm Beaches, which is a great campaign. We've been trying to highlight that. There are a lot of opportunities. The Ocean to Lake Trail is something that we are working on some logistics to make some of those critical connections. And so we've always kind of been working in the background on this, but as we went through all of these stakeholder engagement sessions, we heard a lot from people that they are looking for those kind of opportunities, and we are looking to market them.
Okay, good. Thank you. We'll move to page 12. I'm going to click through these as fast as possible. Number one, we have in here about having countywide tourism infrastructure and transportation improvements. I know for people when all the tourists are here, and we're complaining about the traffic that we create with how many people have moved here. So this is one of those things that can be a pinch point for our residents when they think, oh, you're bringing in all these people, traffic's horrible, what can we do? Is this meant to sort of address some of the connections so that our tourists maybe aren't renting a car and driving on our roads?
Yes, that's exactly it. The more that we can engage with our visitors and move them to public transportation, engage with them on bike paths or pedestrian ways, the better, because it only increases or decreases the amount of traffic on the roads.
And I know there's a number of our cities that have circuits or whatever the other ones are called, where if people know that's an option and they really want to stay within West Palm or Boca or some of our cities that have this, they don't have to rent a car.
Yep.
We can get them to their hotel and then you can use these services without renting. Okay. Question on the countywide wayfinding and visitor signage system. How would that work?
Well, you have 39 municipalities, each of them engaging in wayfinding in their own manner, in their own way. The intention here is to organize, to manage that process so that if you're a visitor coming to Boca and you see a sign to a certain sort of experience, and you're also going to Jupiter later in the week, you can understand intuitively that they're the same message, the same sort of wayfinding process.
Okay. I love that idea. We're also going to have to convince our cities to agree to it, and that's a whole other.
That's what this
you guys are
tourism
for.
master plan is
Yes,
focused
okay.
on.
And then also on that page, the water-based, like the water taxis, that's it. I like that option, and people like to use those.
This particular recommendation is more of a feasibility in looking into that potential, because historically that has existed here, especially in West Palm, and looking at the viability, the feasibility, and the marketability of that is an interesting potential for moving people out of their cars, engaging them in a new experience, and delivering something that's particularly attractive for their vacation or what have you.
Well, I like feasibility. We need to know. So I would like to move forward with that. On page 14, we have, I just wanted to reiterate, I know it's something that we already do, but how important it is for us to keep the pipeline for education for our students, even in high school. There's a number of schools that are filling culinary, a number of different hospitality jobs. We need that to continue. The workforce coming up behind, keep this pipeline going. I just want to support that. And then on the page 16, I love the idea of the Trails Network. It's something that we've talked about before. This is something people will come here just to be able to run a whole bunch of trails. And the Ocean to Lake Trail, we've talked about an ag reserve trail. There's other areas where people want to have a long, contiguous chunk of space to run without having to be in traffic. And we really don't want them mixing with traffic. We've already had a number of incidences we all know about. So I like the idea of moving forward with that. And then also the sports tourism with our Parks and Rec master plan, that's part of this already, isn't it? Kind of merging those two plans because they're happening at the same time.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right, and so lastly, I'll just say on the big ideas moving forward, I love the idea of the global landmark. My question would be, it's a large county, and we're never going to agree on one thing that represents us. Is there a potential option that we could have a few different ones and then make it more of a, did you hit all five? Or whatever it is, and put them in different parts of the county. So when people come here, we want them to spread out, and we could have an iconic, north, south, western one.
Yep.
We could have 7. I like 7. We have 7 commissioners, so.
So, Commissioner, that's one, Vice Mayor, that's one of the ideas that we propose, working through the Cultural Council, sourcing our local arts right here in Palm Beach County to actually have unique photographable or Instagrammable iconic global landmarks in separate locations. So it can work as a trail. Did you go here? Well, while you were here, did you experience some of the local eatery?
Love it.
Excuse me, Emmanuel. Administrator Abruzzo, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Several months back, as we were digging through the convention center and the potential future expansion, I had a meeting with Keith James in regards to the park by our convention center. And we were kicking around the idea that since that's the gateway into our capital city, that we would have an iconic landmark like the Chicago Bean or the St. Louis Arch. It would be a city issue. From my understanding, and again, while he's still on the job, Todd could correct me if I'm wrong, I believe the city of West Palm has instructed staff to do a feasibility study for them to upgrade their park, which would only benefit us at our convention center, along with that idea of getting us that landmark art piece. So I just wanted to notify you of the conversation that I had with the mayor, and Todd, please feel free.
Thank you. Commissioner Weiss, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. So a question for you in looking at how you've been studying this. I know our Parks Department uses software called Placer AI. Have you looked at that? Is that something you guys looked at to see where people are, that staying in our hotels, where they're going, how long, and what they're, obviously you don't know what they're doing, but you know how long somebody's staying somewhere.
Yeah, that we use, as a consulting firm, we use that on a daily basis. I know that Discover uses Placer AI for much of their research, so it's very prevalent in the community.
Yeah, we have used it as well to monitor sporting events. In fact, when we hosted a team base camp for the Club World Cup. When we hosted a team base camp for the FIFA Club World Cup, we had a study done, and Placer showed us how many zip codes from outside of the area, from the Miami-Dade area, from Orlando, that came and visited us because Real Madrid was training here.
Right.
So it's an awesome tool.
It is. Because in order to, obviously we're looking to the future, but you also need to understand, what people are doing today that are coming to visit us. Where are they attracted to go to? I didn't, and maybe it's somewhere in your, I know you guys just give us a very brief summary because it's us, and but maybe, is that something you have in your study that you can share with us?
Yeah, we've already used Placer AI in much of the research that's been produced for this project, but we're also actually looking at the next generation. How do we look at the data that's real time? How do we move people? If there's a traffic jam in West Palm, how do we move them down to Del
If you can figure that out, that's more than tourism.
Well, true, but it is part of the process. It's part of where we're going now with artificial intelligence. We do have the resources to make that happen with the right investment in people and organizations. And ultimately, for Palm Beach County to be the destination that it wants to be in 10 years, that's part of the technology that we're exploring here in the Tourism Master Plan.
Well, maybe the Tourism Master Plan ought to include, helping us solve our traffic issues. Maybe that should be, when I'm thinking of big ideas, maybe that's number one. I don't see it on there even in 10, so.
It's actually on there on page 13.
Okay.
Enhancing the data collection so we can make real-time decisions about our visitor
That's excellent.
experience.
And then on the wayfinding, one of the other thoughts I had, and again, I'm sure you guys are already considering it, is this is my wayfinder. I think for lots of people, and is there a way to integrate, personal wayfinding into our personal devices and not being dependent on, something out on the street that's car can hit or something can happen to it, or it's not maintained and doesn't come up to our standards, that would be good. And then briefly, you mentioned the Howard Park. I know supposedly we're getting a new community center there. It's been on the books for, I think, 5 years since we passed that bond. So that you're going to be competing with our neighborhood, though, to want to use it. I know it's very popular, our current community center. So as to trying to expand the convention center down into our community center, you guys are going to be fighting over it. But we do have a beautiful park there, and it's interesting that I very rarely do I see sort of convention business actually moving into the park. I mean, you have beautiful days when it's a great place. I mean, it would be a wonderful place for people to go down and have a lunch or do something. And I mean, if you go over to places like in Dallas, what is it, Clyde? I can't remember the last something Clyde Park. And they set up events out there, that are really attractive to the business tourism sector, and that you've got a venue right next to the convention center. Could take advantage of it rather than having to cross Okeechobee and go deal with lots of people. And maybe there's something you can do with the city with that. So that would be something else to.
Yeah,
and you've got a lot of great parks.
Yeah, if I could say, Commissioner, you're spot on. And I think if we could maybe meld that with an iconic something coming in, because our clients do see the park and they would love to engage there. One of the things we did in Miami, because we have a 6-acre park in front of the building, is we actually trucked it out with power and data, and also the locations to put tent poles so we could turnkey events very quickly, like put them up, take them down, so then the community could use the park the next morning. So I could see that solution there, and there would be a ton of use out of that park. So
yeah, great. And then I know Convention Center Hotel, or Convention Center's on there, and I think I hearken back to Commissioner Marino, which is we got to get the hotel rooms first. We got to get the hotel rooms first, because I'm not stealing your thunder, I hope, but. We're all a group, we're all a team. Yeah, well. You were very spot on with that observation. So that would be my comment as well: is build the hotels, and then they will come. But if we build a convention center without hotel rooms, as you guys know, it's very, very difficult. So,
Commissioner Sachs, you're recognized.
Thank you. I really like this discussion because it's looking at, we are the largest county in the state. We probably have more people coming in to us every day than any other county in the state, or even the southeastern United States. And yet we don't have one iconic item that says Palm Beach County. I know that Joel Flores? Yeah, we can do that. We can do that. We can do that, Commissioner Flores, Mayor Flores. But I read somewhere, and I don't know how true it is, because I don't know the source, but I think it was Commissioner Flores who's the source, said that the most photographed item in the county is actually the fountain at Meisner Park, because that's where people congregate. That's the third space where people congregate. It's a safe place for the kids and everybody, and it looks like you're in Florida. It looks like you're in Florida. But I think that in Commissioner Marino's area with the fire, with the...
We have the Jupiter Lighthouse.
Exactly.
And we
right.
have Loggerhead Marine Life, which is the #1 free attraction in the world 2 years in a row.
Just like I said. So, and in Commissioner Flores' area, we have Commissioner Flores. That's all you really need. Commissioner Flores. But I would like to see you're the professionals, if you can come up with an idea like that. When you enter Ocala, you see a beautiful, beautiful statue of a horse, and the whole idea of the sister city in Ireland where they have the horse trade, they go back and forth the horse. It's horse country, right? It's always country. When you drive into Delray Beach, Commissioner Woodward, Vice Mayor Woodward, there you have their idea of, of what symbolizes Delray. But if y'all could come up with something, I would congratulate you, because I don't know what it would be. I know we're the only county of 67 that has beach in our name. Only county. So something that represents, but in the meantime, you're discussing starting, and I like the idea of beginning, these mixed-use developments with hotels, dining, and retail, like my colleagues were talking about. If you go to a hotel, or if you're going to go to see a game, you walk out of the hotel, where are you going to go? What are you going to do? And also our cultural centers. We don't have enough cultural centers, and you know that. I know you folks. I worked with you. So this is the beginning of something really big for our county. And whatever I can do of myself, I'll speak for myself, to help you get this idea, I think it's long overdue, because we are the place in Florida, and everybody's coming here. And we need to really, if we don't define ourselves, somebody else will. And I'd rather you're the professional. So I applaud your efforts on this, and I look forward to your big ideas, really big ideas. Thank you, Mayor.
Commissioner Powell, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I want to thank this team. You all have worked diligently to bring some great information to us today. And with regard to the big ideas, I'm also thankful. I would love to see the state-of-the-art multipurpose sports complex if that were something that we could make feasible here in Palm Beach County. I like my colleague's idea of an iconic, or what is it, a global type of item. I'm not sure what that would be. I mean, I know there's a number of public art that's here in Palm Beach County, especially in West Palm Beach, downtown near the police department. There's this, I like to call it the disco ball with the CDs, but it's the big disc, but the globe with all the CDs. But the experience, a lot of the experiences that people come here for, I mean, this year has been really good. Over the weekend, myself, the administrator, and Commissioner Flores were at a 7-on-7 tournament with a number of NFL football players. I did not expect they called it the Sandlot, and I was not expecting that it would be that many participants and people out in the Wellington area. But Palm Beach County, I don't know, even when you think about a global trademark type of experience or symbol, Palm Beach County has so many different things. In Riviera Beach, it's known for the diving and for people scuba diving and the number of species that are underneath the water. We recently had, of course, and now for 5 years, we'll have the Battle of the Bands here in Palm Beach County. What an experience for those of us who attended for the first time. It was a glimpse into history, culture, movement, excitement, all wrapped up in one. We've got golf, we got the TGL experience, leisure, fishing. We don't talk about that. A lot of people come specifically to Florida and Palm Beach County for the fishing. So, the branding is a huge part of it. And for some reason, Palm Beach County is always on the news now. I don't know why, but it's a lot of free advertisement because people are continuing to mention Palm Beach County. The traffic is a problem, but people all over the world know where Palm Beach County is now. When I travel, I used to say, well, people would ask me where I'm from, and I go, well, I'm from West Palm Beach or Palm Beach County, and they go, where's that? Is that like near Tampa, or how close is that to Miami? And now, when I go, I'm from Palm Beach County, people either say, oh God, or, oh really? So, our name is really getting out there. But I want to thank you and commend you all for your continued work. Of course, since being on the Board of County Commissioners, I've had the opportunity to visit some of the natural areas. I've had the opportunity to see so many things that we offer in Palm Beach County. The challenge would be just to make sure that we're continuing to market and brand all of the unique experiences that people can get here in Palm Beach County. I believe that, and through my travels in the state of Florida, we offer opportunities on so many different ends of the spectrum that it's just very difficult to wrap that up into one thing. As Commissioner Woodward was saying, Palm Beach County is not one thing. We're several things that bring people. And if people want to spend a week or 2 weeks here and they want it to run the gamut of experiences, everything from eating and dining to leisure activities to sports, they get that. So thank you all. I'll chime in on that state of the arts multi-purpose complex, as well as the idea if there's a way we can have some type of global landmark that people would like to take a picture of. I hear there's some that are coming, but that would be great as well. Thank you.
Commissioner Marino, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. So we have 5 big ideas. We have 5 big ideas for further consideration. I think what I would like to see is a little more information about those ideas. What do you see as the necessity of land? Are we acquiring it? Is it something that we have? Is there land that we have that we can put some of these on? I'm not, I've got people writing to me every day saying, why doesn't the county have more golf courses? So there's, and we are the golf capital of the world. I have to throw that in there as a professional golfer. But a lot of the comments that have been made up here really are, we want more information. We want to know what kind of facility and what it's going to cost us and who are our partners going to be. What is our return going to be? How long is it going to take? I guess that's the business mind of me going, okay, where are the dollars for all of this? Palm Beach County, in and of itself is I would like to say we're the tourism capital of the world without having a major sports team here other than Major League Baseball, which is only here 1 month a year. But we are a brand. We are well known, and we do over $10 billion in tourism. That's bigger than our budget. So what we can do to help you is work off information that you give us in the way of statistics and data. And, I saw all the things that the blues and the greens, the greens were the innovations and the blues are what we're doing already. Thank you for putting that together. But at the end of the day, we need to know, how do we do it? Where is it going to go? How much is it going to cost? How big is it going to be? And I think those are the questions that all of us are actually looking to have answers to. Thank you.
Agreed. And the document that we haven't printed out for you today of 525 pages has much of that information, probably more information than you can consume. Each of the recommendations has detailed analysis showing the activities that need to take place, the organizations that will lead that process, the organizations that will need to partner in that process, some of the initial capital investment and operational estimates for accomplishing each of those recommendations, the KPIs for assessing success in each of those recommendations, the monitoring system. So that detail is in the larger document, which I encourage you not to print out, but to use as a PDF for sustainability. Also, each of the individual big ideas has the definition of the big idea, an overview of the economic impact that they are likely to deliver if put in place, a series of pros and cons for each of the big ideas, because in each of those cases, the land availability is one of the key issues that we're dealing with, and then the action plan and a conclusion for that. That is also in the document that you have in PDF. So the initial assessment of each of the ideas is there, but I think the key is to identify, we don't want to do a feasibility study for all of the 10, because a feasibility study in general can run up to $100,000 a piece to do it properly, to do it rigorously, and to do it right. So the consideration is to try to narrow down the list of big ideas to those that are meaningful, that have the fullest potential, and so we can invest wisely in moving forward in that process.
Mayor, may I? May I continue?
Of course.
Thank you. Well, I think it sounds like we're like around 7 ideas up here as opposed
Or
to
10.
5 or 10, depending. But, you know, I'm not sure if spending $100,000 a feasibility study is a waste of money. Because I know the return on the investment. When you think of what tourism brings to our county and any more that we can add, maybe we as a group, because we are a board of 7, can pick our top whatever and move forward with those, knowing that eventually the next 5 might be in the process. But I don't believe a feasibility study is the wrong idea. And I do have the 500 and some odd pages printed on my desk. I just haven't gotten through them yet. So thank you for letting me know that research is in there, because that's really important for us to make a decision. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. I'm going to go. We've had a few rounds. A couple things. So I did notice you have 2 different slides, 21 and 23, 5 big ideas moving forward and 5 big ideas for further consideration. If you could please explain what the difference is.
Yes, Madam Mayor. So based off of research and also stakeholder engagement, it's based off of ranking order. So these were the top 5. So it dwindled down from 18 to 10 based off of the community engagement and the stakeholders. These were the first 5 that the stakeholders really wanted to see come forward. And then the next 5 were just needing further consideration based off the board's feedback.
And which stakeholders are we referencing? And I'll tell you, and I'm going to ask at the same time, the number one question, whether I'm in Tallahassee, whether I am anywhere, they all want to know when a racetrack is coming back to Palm Beach County. I cannot tell you how many times I get this question. And I don't just mean from the massive racing community that has filled our chambers. I mean everywhere. So I am curious, how do we rank that number 10? And it was also an iconic, you want to talk about iconic places? We had one right here in Palm Beach County.
So, Madam Mayor, so we engaged with 1,700 residents that are partial, as well as snowbirds as well. And then we also...
How do you, I need to know, I'm curious, how do we reach out to these 1,700 residents that we have reached out to?
Through an online survey.
An online survey. And what if they're not online or they don't know about the survey?
We actually partnered with water utilities to put them in the water bill.
Well, that's interesting, because you know what the acreage in Loxahatchee doesn't have? A water bill. Or any of Palm Beach, Jupiter Farms, or anywhere that has septic. So, and well water. So I'm a little...
So that was only one opportunity for engaging with the stakeholders. It was also included in our social media network, through our email system, so it was
And the only way they could do that is if they have already signed up for the TDC emails?
Or if they have Facebook or Instagram or many of those other accounts.
Specifically for this, I would like an opportunity when these things come up to be able to get them out to my residents. Because I promise you, there's been a massive amount of people. There's entire pages dedicated to this of people who want to see that. So I'd be surprised if it was that low. And I'll come back to me. We'll go with Commissioner Sachs. You're recognized.
I think the gist of all of this is that you're asking us to give money to a company to give us an idea of what we can do to promote tourism and development here in Palm Beach County. And what we're telling you is we need it. but we want to make sure that that whatever comes back is going to satisfy our professional golfer that sits on this commission. It's going to satisfy, all of us in our different areas. This is a large and diverse county. If we were Union or Dixie or Wakulla, it'd be a lot easier and a lot cheaper. So let's make sure that when you're ready to tell us what you can do with these big ideas and with taxpayers' money, we want to be part of this conversation because it's very, very important to our constituents. 1.34 million people here, and they have a lot of, our constituents have a lot of big ideas of their own. So work with us. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I think it's a good idea. We spend a lot of money on a company that tells us we have traffic. So I think that this would be money well spent as long as you're the professionals, but we represent the people, and nobody knows better what our people want than us. So we got to continue this conversation if this thing is approved, and that we are part of this end discussion and a decision on how we move forward with these big ideas. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Flores, you're recognized.
So, the feasibility study, who's doing it, what's the cost, what's the timeline? What's the time frame of a feasibility study on one of these big ideas? And we can talk ranges, estimates. I know these are not going to be precise numbers.
Generally speaking,
Right.
I think it would be safe to assume that a rigorous feasibility study for any of these projects will be in the range of $100,000. It will include site selection, it will include market demand, it will include regulatory review, this long list of activities necessary to give you the answer for each of the individual big ideas that have been put forward.
And the time frame?
Some of them can be faster than others, but generally speaking, 3 to 6 months to do a good job.
Okay. And based on your experience, how many of these big ideas can we move forward? Are these tracks that work parallel to each other? Are we only looking to focus on 1 per year, 2 per year, or walk me through a little bit of that?
I wouldn't encourage you to do all 10 of them at once.
Right.
But I think if you pick 3 or 4 this year, 3 or 4 next year, or in 6 months, that would probably serve you well.
Okay. With that being said,
Commissioner Flores, what would you feel about doing 7? Let each of us pick one.
I wouldn't be opposed to that. What I was going to say is, it seems like the first step is this feasibility study, right?
Correct.
To see what's feasible, what the market, stands, whether it would work or it would not work. And what we're saying, it's a $100,000 investment.
That comes out of TDC dollars?
TDC dollars. So I'm okay with moving more than 5. And you coming back to us in 6 months and telling us this is what would work, this should be our priority, this should be our number 1, number 2 focus, and create a path to move forward. That's my idea. I don't think we need to keep it to the 5. I guess that's what I'm saying. I think that once we do the feasibility study, then we can identify which ones we want to focus on and prioritize those based on the feasibility study.
For clarification purposes, you're saying a feasibility study. I think what I was hearing is that each
one
big idea has to have its own feasibility study.
That's correct. So we would do.
So I think the best way is have everyone pick their one. Again, to Commissioner Sachs's point, we know our residents. Is the purpose of the feasibility study to tell us what they want?
No.
Right.
The feasibility study is to analyze what will work,
And
what the return on the investment will be, whether our visitors and our brand are consistent with that sort of enterprise. There's a long list of questions that a feasibility study needs to answer in order for you to decide, okay, I'm going to put $100 million into this or $25 million into that. Those are big ticket items and they shouldn't be taken lightly. So an investment into a feasibility study is a...
I guess what I'm trying to say is I would be okay with moving forward with all 10 because all 10 might not be feasible coming back. So I guess that's my
Administrator Abruzzo, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And I just had some questions on our side of the House and administration in regards to operations, if you'd indulge me for a moment. The feasibility study, I understand you're ballparking it 100,000 a clip for the 10, so we're talking about $1 million. My question is, that type of money, for a fraction of that cost, we could bring things in-house as well with AI. Can we look at what it would cost by having it in-house with AI to be set for every type of feasible study that we want to go into? Or you're going to tell me that this is so specialized that it needs to be these set firms? The $1 million is concerning for me from an operations standpoint.
If I were making the decision to invest or not to invest $100 million, I would not want to rely on AI at this point to make that decision.
It wouldn't be, I'm sorry, Madam Mayor. It wouldn't be just AI. I'm saying, can we have professionals that they do this for a living, bring that in-house for a fraction of that, then we have them all year long for every type of project. I'm saying a tool that the professionals can use. Maybe these are conversations we need to have more offline. Thank you.
Vice Mayor Woodward, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just a couple of questions. One, I guess I would like to know, is there potentially a step between now and a feasibility study that sort of would give us a bit of a ranking on the best return on investment, the best potential increase, so that, without going all the way to feasibility, so if we're looking to limit our where we would like to do the feasibility, is there a step in between that could guide us a little more as far as return on investment potential of each idea?
Yeah, I think it is possible to do sort of a mini assessment for each of them. That's it's not 6 months worth of work. Maybe it's a month's worth of work and a lower price tag. But yes, that is possible.
Okay, because I think if we could do like a mini version of it, just not the full, because we know what the full is, and that's a big undertaking, but just to kind of guide this conversation a little better, so we're not throwing everything out there. And then it could order it for us and rank these. And some of what, and I think it's important that we remember how to put this. It's not that it's not about our residents. It is, but this is about getting the most bang for our tourism bucks. And the more bang we get for those bucks, I mean, living here, I have a sign in my house, I live where you vacation. So it's a benefit living here to have these things. But this is not paid for by residents. This is paid for by people who choose to come here from other places. They spend the night and we collect those tax dollars. That's what's funding this. So we don't want to harm our residents, but this isn't necessarily for them. It's a cherry on top benefit of us living here. We choose to live here I chose to live here for those reasons. So I think it's important that we keep that in mind. And as we're making these decisions, it needs to be on how do we increase those bucks and how do we make use of them for a way that benefits everyone, but increases the revenue coming to us from other areas. Makes us more competitive on the global stage. Not just the national stage, that we're a global entity at this point. How do we make that more and get more money for that? So with that in mind, I guess my ask would be for the mini version to kind of get us without doing full-scale feasibility. And also, I would be remiss if I didn't point out, as a South County Commissioner, one of these big ideas, at least, it needs to come south. We have parks in the South. We have those things. I don't think that there's any of the big sports commission, any of the convention center, anything that's south of Okeechobee Boulevard.
You have FAU.
And what can you do at FAU? We do go to Boca Bowl. Yeah. Central and South County, we're very, and nothing against my neighbors to the north, but there's plenty. We have ballparks. We have, what do we do, yes, in Powell's district, we do have tennis. But to any of these projects, I would request, and maybe you can't deliver, but if you can, look south somewhere. Central County, South County, there's space for something like this. And anywhere that there would be space, I'm asking to look, not demanding that it be put south, but something. At least look. Give me an option that says, okay, we tried, here's the option, here's why it's not good, but try to find something. Last part that I'll say, sorry? Good luck with that, we're full. Sorry, we're having a traffic conversation here. That's a big problem that we have, and we all know that. But the last thing that I wrote was there's destinations where you go in this world where you go to the resort and you don't leave the resort. And then there's places where you go to the resort and you explore everything outside of it. That's who we are. And that's part of what all of this needs to be about, and not becoming this little, like, go to this great hotel and stay there. And there's places where it works, but that's not us. We want everyone, every business is here to be able to benefit from tourism. So thank you for that.
Commissioner Weiss, you're recognized.
Thank you, and I wholeheartedly agree with the sort of the mini assessment. I think that's the right thing to do, because it may help us scratch things off, sooner, or others will rise up. I had a question, and it was actually, there was an article in the paper today in regards to potential redevelopment in Riviera Beach to build a convention center. Have you all contemplated what that might mean?
We had previously included in our longer list of big ideas a smaller conference center, not as big as what you have here, but a conference center that had meeting facilities, breakout rooms in the north part of the county. Ultimately, the steering committee decided that was not viable, that would not be,
I
a
guess
strong
my
option.
question is really one of, somebody is proposing this 350,000 square foot convention center there.
Mm-hmm.
So it is equivalent in size of our current convention center. And I'm just, as things are being percolated, I think you need to also be factoring that in. I mean, if they were to move forward, what does that mean? And maybe in your mini feasibility study that we do, that we look at those things. I mean, I guess that's a SWOT analysis that needs to be
Right.
done.
In each of the cases, especially the big ideas, if there is a private developer that steps up and opens their checkbook, those opportunities will certainly be encouraged, especially if they're part of the broader strategy and plan that we've put forward. Each of those, it's not limited to private or public sector investment. If it falls within the purview of one of the categories, all the better that the private sector is making a move forward.
Okay. Understood. But would something like that, though, I mean, would definitely be it potentially could be a benefit, but it could also potentially siphon business away.
Yeah, Commissioner, I personally don't have enough information on it. I just saw the article. I received a call from the Post. I went online, and there's an overhead shot, but I just need to see it. Because if you try to drop 350,000 square feet on Singer Island and do what we do, it'll be interesting. So I would like to, before I comment.
Is that on Singer Island, or was it on, I thought it was at the marina site?
The marina site. So to drop our footprint on there and do what we're doing with trucks and everything else, it would be something we need to investigate. So,
Okay.
Commissioner Marino, you're recognized.
Save a little time on the world-class waterfront events. Get with Jennifer Cirillo, because we have property that is not only on the ocean, we have property across the street, we have land that's ours. And if you're talking about doing something on the water, we don't have a lot of opportunity for that. So, Jennifer, thank you very much.
Commissioner Sachs, you're recognized.
Obviously, everybody's got ideas for you in our districts. I got a couple too. And they're all good. What I'd like to know is, because we don't need to pay you to tell us what opportunities we have that need to be developed. What I would like to see you do in a mini way, which is a less expensive way, is to tell us how we can use public-private partnerships or what type of development and resources and assets that the Palm Beach County can use to develop these great ideas in our district. That is what I would be interested in. And if that's possible, that you could do it in a mini way, because I know there are public-private partnerships available. We just see the city of West Palm Beach, what's happened here, in terms of land use and private investment. That is what I would be interested in. And if, when we come down to doing do we do a direction or
Well, I think we've had I'm not a huge fan of the mini feasibility because I feel like it's going to prolong anything. We have to do mini and analyze that, decide which one we want to do full on, then analyze that. Then it becomes this forever
government
the bureaucracy where I want to see something real that the residents can appreciate, get done. I love that you say private public partnerships, because genuinely we are looking at who is willing to step up from the private sector and put those dollars behind this as well, which is another reason I don't like the auto racing industry or the auto track, racetrack being 10th. I've had so many meetings where people, all they need are the land, all that's required is the land, and they will do everything else. I mean, there's so much money sitting there waiting and wanting to come to Palm Beach County that I want to move this forward already and make it, see what those feasibilities look like. I do like the administrator's idea of having something in process. So if we have future ideas come to us, that we can have some experts and use technology, because I love technology, but at the same time, I don't want to hold up all of this waiting for that to get in place. So even if we proceed today with the feasibility of whichever project I think commissioners would like to proceed forward with, I think putting those other things in place, it's still a great idea. Let's take some actionable steps today and move towards what we would like to see done. Because you guys only come before us once or twice a year at most. Like, you're here before us. Let's give you what we want to do, what we want to see, and bring something real back to us in June. And I believe that is when you're designated to come back. Now, I mean, if any commissioners, because we did have 2 who wanted mini reports, want to hold this up, Commissioner Flores' light was on first, but I believe Commissioner Weiss probably wants to comment on this particular subject.
I do, and I understand where you're coming from. I think it just is important that we get some facts behind this before we move forward, and that's where I'm saying to give them direction on any of these until I really have an understanding of what's the expected cost, what's the expected return.
Isn't that what the feasibility will tell us?
But I don't need a full feasibility study to do that. I just need to understand. I mean, if something's going to take, let's say they need 100 acres, can they identify anywhere where they can find 100 acres? I mean, and if they can, what's it going to cost us to acquire that? I mean, otherwise, we're going off and I don't need a full, this is how big the market is. I think these ideas that they've identified, they all seem like, reasonable things that our visitors would be interested in, as well as some support from our residents as well, that they would also be able to take advantage of it. But I don't want to tell them, say, let's go spend $100,000 on something until I understand if this is in fact It's worth spending
So how
$100,000 to
about
go
the
really
project
investigate it.
The project you want to get done, or anyone who wants a mini feasibility study, we do mini feasibilities on those.
I don't know why. we
If you don't want a full one, I would like a full one. So that's why I say, where does that stop? But I'm going to stop and move on. Commissioner Flores, you're recognized.
So I think where we're at is between the mini or the full, right? So let me ask you, because you said you had some, this list started out pretty long.
Yes, sir.
You narrowed it down to 18. You brought us the top 10, with the big 5 being the big ideas, right?
Yes, sir.
Which my assumption is, if you're recommending those big 5 ideas, is because those probably have legs.
Yes.
That you think and your committee thought that these top 5 should probably move forward.
Yes, sir.
So I'm all in on the full feasibility study on the top 5. Can you walk me through how and why you selected the next 5, so that from our standpoint, we have a sense that you've done some due diligence and you feel like there is a little bit of a feasibility out there? Don't give me this. Don't give me this. Just talk from your heart.
2 things. One is we established a number of priority criteria to examine not only the recommendations, but the criteria. Economic impact, quality of life impact, environmental sustainability. There, I believe, are 12 different criteria that we established, and the steering committee weighted those criteria, giving sustainability a higher vote or a higher impact than another. The steering committee went through a process of not only establishing those criteria, establishing the weight for those criteria, but then the scoring for each of those criteria against each of the projects, against each of the recommendations. This was a numbers game, quantifiable assessment of each of the recommendations, each of the big ideas, to understand on a relative basis where they ranked from 1 to 10. That's not to say that 10 isn't viable or feasible, unfeasible, but just in order of our investment. This is a 20-year tourism master plan. Right. This is not something we're going to do next week, next month, or next year. Right. This is what this collective group will undertake over the next 5, 10, 15 years in order to take Palm Beach County to the next level of
So your steering committee is not average residents. Who are the people that you guys put on this steering committee? And what, I'm not looking for specific names, I'm looking for profiles. Who are they? What do they do? They have experience in the world.
So this is the steering committee, but what Richard didn't allude to was
this body right here.
Yes. So it also got socialized to the 1,700 visitors as well as having the impact of 96 community stakeholders. So we didn't weigh in at the visionary workshop. We let the community weigh in. So
they started the process, you started your work, and if I look at this board, I feel like you guys have way more experience about this than this side of the house. Just based on experience in tourism. We're not experts in tourism. We stayed at a Holiday Inn before, and we think we're experts, but we're really not. So in my opinion, if this steering committee has made the big 5 recommendation for feasibility study, I back that wholeheartedly. And if from this side, we want to look at the next 5, I also would be inclined to do that. I don't think I need a mini study to then decide whether we want to make the full investment. We're talking $100,000 per item. I think it's something that in a master plan that's for 20 years, we should take a long, hard look at each item and see how we move this county forward. So I would be in favor of all that.
If I may respond. This tourism master plan, each of the 10 big ideas, the recommendation is a feasibility study is conducted for each of them individually. That's here in the tourism master plan. You can agree at this moment that the tourism master plan is viable, you can accept it. Then the next stage after that is to undertake the feasibility studies as recommended by the Tourism Master Plan. Individually, collectively, mini, major, whatever you like to do.
Do I need to make a motion? I'm just kidding. Thank you.
No,
sir.
I can't.
Administrator Abruzzo, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. First and foremost, we are the premier county in the United States, as you have led that BCC. And priorities will shift, things will change. I'm going to separate my comments into two buckets. I completely understand, Commissioner Flores, where you're coming from, that we move on top priorities to get that done in the meaningful way. But one thing that I have been charged with and take very seriously is looking at costs and things that are occurring in our government. I did sidebar, in full disclosure, with Milton in discussion of, can we set up an in-house department under Discover, who, as you know, they are incredible at feasibility studies and looking at economic outcomes and future items that the county will be undertaking. And I believe that we are in a situation where we do have the means to have a set department at a fraction of the cost. So when there are items that, for instance, Madam Mayor, you want a racetrack, it did not make the top 5, but they can cost effectively get into what that truly means for Palm Beach County. And with your indulgence, Milton, if you wouldn't mind, if the mayor agrees, a few remarks.
Thank you, Administrator. Good morning, Good afternoon, Mayor. First, thank you so much for listening. This is really important. We appreciate that. What Administrator Abruzzo is making reference is that we have discovered we have a destination technology department, which we have the technology and the knowledge to prepare, in conjunction with the steering committee and the lead of the other agencies, a recommendation for you that will take this analysis to a further step, bring it back to your discussion and final approval. From Discover as an organization, we're prepared to do that for the county.
I have two lights on, Commissioner Sacks and then Commissioner Marino.
Thank you. Now, if my counterpart, Commissioner Marino, would like to go before me, that's fine. Okay, it's okay. We could do this for a while.
My question was just very simple. These dollars, are they already budgeted? If we were to spend $1 million on these 10 big ideas, or $100,000 each, $1 million, is it already budgeted?
So right now, we do have the contract with CSL to be able to perform at least 5 or 6 big ideas. The further deep dive that Milton alluded to was us doing a separate deep dive and actually focusing on one particular item that this board would agree on, that they will want something done in detail. So right now, what we're looking for is the consideration. This isn't saying that all 10 will go away, but what are the top 5 or top 6 priority of this board? That doesn't mean the list falls or goes away. It will still be in existence, that this is what the community ranked as a top 10 that we believe that our destination has a capability of. It would just require a further deep dive and feasibility study.
I, for one, would like to see a feasibility study on all 10 items. It's very simple. We don't know what it's going to, we just don't know unless we do a complete feasibility study. And, you know, this is a 20-year plan. We do the study now. Dave, tell us about public-private partnerships and what we're doing now so we have a better understanding.
Yeah, public-private partnerships are alive and well, both here and around the country with our business. So TGL Golf, SoFi Center, public-private between Tomorrow Sports and Palm Beach State, which tonight at 7 o'clock, Tiger Woods is playing tonight. So it is social media around the world at this point. Starting tomorrow, you have the boat show. The boat show is a relationship between West Palm Beach and Informa, which is the largest show producer in the world. Informa is putting a ton of money into the show, and their goal is to make it the #1 boat show in the world. So better than Monaco, better than everywhere. So again, public-private. Our company is involved with, I don't know if anybody's heard of Miami Marine Stadium. This is the old concert stadium where they used to do the water ski shows of the coast of Miami, where you look back at the city. So it's public-private between our company and a bunch of other private companies in the city of Miami. We're going to rejuvenate that location, so waterfront, with Live Nation, and make it into a concert venue and an event location. Again, in the backdrop is the city of Miami, public-private. And then to the administrator's comment, as it relates to sports tourism and sports, there's a sincere interest in building an arena and a sports tourism for George in this county. And there's a number of private companies that are very interested in being involved in that. So there is, some of these big ideas are big, but they're also private is definitely there. And then my gift to the commission is I'll pay for the study, because our surplus last year was $4 million.
So we're going to take $1 million, we're going to do 10, right? So we're going to do 10 feasibility studies, one for each of one of these, the big ideas and the big ideas for further consideration. That's the only way we're going to get the answers for
Wait,
this.
I have a motion.
I'll
Can I
make
get
a motion.
second?
I will make a motion.
Have a second. All in favor?
haven't spoken yet. I let my colleague
We're going to
go first,
still
but I'm
speak,
just-
though.
May I speak?
Are you finished?
I made the motion, and I think we got a
Oh,
second.
we do have a
So now we
second.
can have
By
discussion.
Commissioner Flores.
Mayor,
Thank you very much.
could I have the second stated, please?
Commissioner Flores. Commissioner Sacks, you're recognized.
Thank you very much. All right, this is your money. It's your budget. This man just made a deal. Okay? We accepted it, so it's a contract according to the law. So we got that deal in. I don't know, we could talk for another 10 minutes, maybe make another deal. But let's say it this way, is if this is where you want to put your money, that you receive from tourist dollars every time somebody gets a hotel room, then I think you are the best curators of your money. Okay? Secondly, 5 years is too long. I'm not waiting 5 years for y'all to tell me that we need another golf course, or we need an immersive recreation center here. So can we cut it from 5 years really?
That's way too
Can we make it 3? Do I hear 3? I hear 3. Okay, I hear
Sacks.
3.
But in all seriousness, what is the timeline if we do all 10 of these that we're looking at?
We could gear up to do all 10 within the next year or so,
Okay.
I like it.
12
I like
months.
it.
but
I
that's
mean-
going to take a major effort.
Well, yeah, I'm not saying 1 year. There could be some of these
And that's
that are a
just for
little
the
easier.
feasibility study? And Administrator, you were talking about another process of feasibility. How long would that take under Mr. Sagaro?
We can move, I assume, pretty quick. Not only that, Madam Mayor, but I've been also correlating with our Office of Technology and Innovation and working with Milton. We could also purchase the software that these same exact companies use, and then we own it forever. So I'm not trying to, please don't think I'm trying to weigh into the motion on the table. Not at all. I'm talking about future, to have this in our wheelhouse where we have some cost control around it, and it's at our availability
And
anytime we need it.
If we do that, I think it'll be a good litmus test too, because we'll see the results of what we're getting these versus the software that we might potentially at some point get and, have a good look at that. I do have 2 more lights.
I just want to
Commissioner
finish
Sacks,
up.
unless you're finished.
So I just
okay.
want you to know where I stand on this, now that we got it down to 1.5 years. And I have to say, in all candor, or at
12
least 3
months.
years. I think, for some of these, you might be able to bring it in a little quicker. Some of them might be a little longer. To be completely candid with everybody, I'm presenting a similar idea on Thursday to the board, and I already examined some AI possibilities of creating I wrote it down here, a state-of-the-art indoor multi-purpose sports complex that would have, little coffee shops around it and tapas and things like that through AI.
That's number one of
So-
the big ideas.
I know, but I did not know that today. I did this last week to present it to y'all on Thursday. But so I think you're right on point. when it comes to that, and that will, Mr. Segarra, this will make it a little bit faster if we can create it by AI. I think the tough part is really the private enterprise, right, assets to put into this. So I am all for this. I think the discussion has been very healthy. Thank you very much, Mayor. Thank you, my colleague Marino, for doing the Italian thing over on that side. I appreciate it, and I appreciate y'all wanting to do this with your money. Thank you.
Vice Mayor Woodward, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. At the risk of drawing the wrath of my entire board, sorry, I just lived through a city election where public-private partnerships have entirely upended my city. And due diligence cannot be rushed. So if we're good for doing feasibility study, we have someone to fund it, thank you for that. All for that. I am not for anything that speeds it up to have residents who are watching, or if they're not watching yet, they'll come back and watch. Just because anytime we do public-private partnerships, the fear is the private is going to benefit while the public gives. And whether or not that's true, that is the sentiment we have to face with a little bit of reality here. That is going to be part of something we have to overcome. So however we move forward with this is the reality of the current world. And public-private partnerships can be wonderful, but we're going to have to prove that the public is getting a fair deal in whatever we do. If it's land, whatever the two parts of this come together. And I, for one, don't want to see you rush it just because we want it quicker, because we can rush it all we want, and it could end up as a ballot referendum and the whole thing goes away. Just lived experience, it's not on us, but I've seen it happen, and it's something we need to be cognizant of. If we're moving forward with all 10, great. My one question was on a feasibility study. How long is it good for? This is a 20-year plan, so if we do all of these now, and one of these, we're not going to do it for 15 years, does that feasibility hold up for that amount of time?
Ultimately, the day you deliver a feasibility study, it's out of date. That's the nature of assessing the current market conditions, the economic situation, the price of gasoline, and how far people will drive. The day we deliver, or anyone delivers a feasibility study, it will be out of date.
So with that in mind, when you deliver us 10 of these, and we know we can't move on 10 of these when you deliver, we don't even know if we can move on one of them. It's something that we need to consider. So, you know, how you're going to put a year's worth of work into 10 different projects here that we're not even sure we can fund one of, much less we know we can't move on all 10, and you're going to hand us something that's ticking the moment you start working on it. Something else for us to consider. We can take a vote on this. I can't support moving in this way. I don't want to move this quickly, and I don't think that it's wise to do 10 of them when we know we can't do them, but that's just one commissioner's opinion. We could take it to the board for a vote.
Madam Mayor, a quick question. So for staff's clarity, does this board feel comfortable with moving forward with the 50 recommendations, approving that today, and then coming back with the 10 big ideas within that time frame?
We have a motion and a second on the floor right now that we are going to vote on. But first, I'm going to let Commissioner Flores talk, and then I think you'll have your answer.
You know, I just want to put this on the record too. I think Vice Mayor Woodward makes a good comment regarding partnerships and public-private partnerships. And I have always said this, I think government has to operate like we're a business. And there has to be something that we get in return, and we're not just giving stuff away. I wholeheartedly agree with that side of the house. However, the return to us could be an impact, impacts to the economy, to the local economy. It could be impact to the workforce, higher labor, because these are the things that we create policy for, is to make sure that our community continues to grow and thrive. So it's not a dollar for dollar return. It's a dollar per dollar return on on the entire environment that we live in. So when we are willing to give something, that there has to be a return. And I guess a good example, we were just at the Vanderbilt. That was a partnership where we provided land, but we were holding them very accountable to specific metrics that they have to meet in order to get that land. And that to me, that's a great contract where you're actually holding people's accountable, not just giving something and hoping and praying we get something back in return. So I think we got to look at, when we do these things, we got to look at them like that. So with that being said, we have to do feasibility studies to be able to decide whether things are feasible or they're not. They're dead in its track. And we can't make decisions without the feasibility study. Are we maybe picking 10 too many? Because we're not going to do all 10 initially. That's why I was asking how many can we possibly move at once. It might be 2 or 3, right, that we work, and the delivery time might be 5 years from now. It might be, because the other thing is we come up with this feasibility study, we still need that P3 partner. We don't know if that's going to come in, that's not going to come in. I hope that they're listening out there, that they realize that we're serious about continuing to grow infrastructure in the tourism world, and they reach out to us. Which is why I'm willing to make an investment. I'm willing to make an investment to see if it's feasible, so that, we pick 3 to move forward now, and in 8 years, a new board will say, you know what, they did a feasibility study. We want to now focus on these other 2. They can do that because they saw that, back in 2026, it was feasible. So there might be some viability to that in that point. This is a 20-year study. Our job is to focus on a handful of these and to be able to get them across the finish line. But what we might find out is that some of these ideas aren't really feasible. So without doing a feasibility study, we're never going to find out. And some are going to be short-term, where others might be long-term. And then we still have to find those partnerships, find the land, find everything that's going to make this work. So I agree with Vice Mayor Woodward regarding what the return on these investments are, but I think we have to do our due diligence. And without a feasibility study, we're not anywhere to, we're not ready to get started without that. So that's why I am moving forward, and I second that motion because I think we have to do these feasibility studies.
Okay. We'll do a roll call vote, clerk.
What is the motion exactly?
It's to have all 10 feasibility studies, full feasibility studies done. Dave has agreed to pay half of those. And so that would leave the TDC dollars for the other half. Administrator, was there something you wanted to add? Okay, go ahead, clerk. Oh, Commissioner Sachs.
I just want to make sure I understand. I think we discussed that they would be able to bring some of these back in less than, can you hear me?
In 12 months.
Okay, thank you. Just want to make
Yes.
sure.
Go ahead.
And just a point of clarity, because I know we talked about it, but it's not well defined in the, can we go to the next 5? Where the sports and entertainment arena. I know we talked about flag football, but I guess, and perhaps, I guess I'm thinking that is what this would be here. The next 5. Sports entertainment arena. So it's I know I heard some talks about possibly flag football could be, so could we look into that?
Well, they're doing all 10.
No, I know, but specifically when we're looking
into
at that, having that one be flag football?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Powell, you're recognized.
Thank you. I got a question. Why wouldn't the all-purpose facility host the flag football? What's
The sports complex.
the sports complex?
Administrator?
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Powell. We're going to be dialoguing with and reaching out to TGL to see what the parameters are. They may say you need a certain stadium, a certain size that will far exceed an indoor complex for basketball, indoor soccer, et cetera. So we need to get our arms wrapped around exactly what the requirements are going to be from the NFL. What we do know is they are officially starting a flag football league for both males and females. They are going to be picking franchise locations, and from an administration standpoint, I would like to do everything we can to position in front of you a viable shot at receiving our first active pro sports franchise.
Thank you.
Okay. Please proceed, Clerk.
Commissioner Flores? Yes. Commissioner Marino?
Absolutely, yes.
Commissioner Powell?
Yes.
Commissioner Sachs? Yes. Commissioner Weiss?
Not here.
Vice Mayor Woodward?
No.
Mayor Baxter?
Yes.
So that's 5 aye, 1 nay, 1 absent.
Thank you so much. I believe, did you finish your presentation in its entirety? There's also something I wanted to, you didn't bring it up today, but I wanted to make the public and the board aware because we are no longer having Sunfest. There was an alternate, what would you call that? Not venue, it's same venue, alternate company? Festival that will be taking its place this June called 5 o'clock somewhere. And it should be very exciting. If you'd like to at least give a 30-second explanation, Emmanuel, that'd be great.
So, Madam Mayor, members of the board, we're looking to partner with the company that will be coming in to Palm Beach County to kind of fill that summer shoulder season, that void that Sunfest left when it sunsetted. So it is a country concert primarily. They do have reggae aspects as well, but you will have some of the largest entertainers within that industry looking to actually occupy the space in downtown West Palm, the Great Lawn. So more to come on that. The proposed dates would be July or June-ish, but we are looking to contract with them to have that come to us as well.
Thank you so much. I just thought that was pretty exciting for everyone to know that it will be coming here downtown. So did anyone else have any more questions? Commissioner Flores, you're recognized.
Yeah, it's a clarification on a offside proclamation that I made on behalf of Commissioner Sachs.
Hold on. Let's finish with,
I thought we did.
no, that's what I was asking, if there's any questions for this. Todd, you had one more
Yes,
item on
Madam
this?
Mayor. So just when we went over the draft recommendations on page 9 through 17 of those core 50 draft recommendations, we would like some direction from the BCC as well on those specifically, just if you accept those recommendations that we provided, and if you would support that those align to all of the core components of the,
Would you,
from pages 9 through 17. So those.
In the book or on
Yeah,
the presentation?
In the presentation.
If you could pull it up there, that'd be great.
You can just go there.
I'd make a motion to approve.
In a minute, yeah. Go back, Daniel, sorry, page 9. Yeah. So starting here through 17, as we went through all of these for you today, those were draft recommendations to you, and we would seek your approval or support of those as a component of this master plan. So that direction would be helpful.
I have a motion to approve and a second. I believe it was Commissioner Marino, or, excuse me, Vice Mayor Woodward, and Commissioner Sachs. We'll second it. All in favor? Any opposed? Please see if that motion carries 6-0.
Thank you.
When you come back, would you also bring funding, how the different pennies? I don't know if we went over that since the newest members. Commissioner Flores, were you and Commissioner Powell here over the pennies? Well, so when we start discussing how to fund these future projects, big ideas, I'd like you to bring that back to us, please.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. And is that all? Oh. Okay, we're going to go through. Okay, you're all finished. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for the information. We already did number 5. So we have staff comments.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I respectfully request for board ratification, 3 appointments. Elizabeth McBride to the Director of the Office of Cost Control and Compliance, Axel Miranda, the Director of Housing and Economic Development, Taruna Malhotra, Division Director of the Criminal Justice Commission, which the CJC Committee approved, I believe, unanimously just yesterday. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
We need a motion for that? For ratification?
Yes.
Okay, so I have a motion by Commissioner Flores, a second by Commissioner Sacks. All in favor? Any opposed? Please see that the motion carries 6-0.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Also would like to ask for board direction. Boynton Beach Fire Rescue reached out a while ago to Palm Beach Fire Rescue in discussions for a potential merger. Those preliminary discussions are about to hit a more robust dialogue and requesting staff direction that that's okay that fire rescue could continue with the dialogue.
Negotiating?
Negotiating.
Does anybody object to continuing negotiations? Do you need a motion? No? Okay. Thank you for that update. Anything else?
One final announcement. Our Water Utilities Department, hot off the presses, 9 a.m. this morning, just received 2 Operational Excellence Awards from the State Department of Environmental Protection. So big shout out to Ali, of course.
Guys, say good job, Todd. Good job, Ali.
Yep, Todd. That's where I was headed. So thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you so
Board.
much. Now we have, moving on to direction before comments. Does any commissioner have direction? Vice Mayor Woodward, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The engineering department lost an employee late last year, John Myers, and they are requesting that we move to dedicate the bridge house that he worked at for over 40 years, or he was a big part of working on that one at Ocean Avenue Bascule Bridge in Lantana, to name it after John Myers.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Commissioner Marino. All in favor? Any opposed? Please say that the motion carries 6-0. That was 4, right?
Okay.
Okay.
And then also, this was something I actually saw overnight last night, and it's not necessarily board direction, it's discussion to look at the possibility, what it would take for, and if anyone's interested, in a temporary pause on the Palm Beach County gas tax collection. It was in the news that Palm Beach County is the highest in the state right now, and I believe our portion of it is about 12 cents per gallon. And there's a few areas in the country that are looking at doing temporary pauses on this collection to kind of help with our residents. I know there's been a spike, and I don't think it's a forever spike, but it's a big one, and it's not something that we can do today. I just wanted to know what that would look like, if it's even an option. That's something that we can do. It's about 70 cents per gallon is taxes from the federal government all the way down. Our portion's about 12 cents. And I just wanted to put it out there for this board to have a discussion. And what I believe it's about $3 to $4 million it's a month that right now goes into engineering department. And if it's something anyone's interested in, gas is spiked. Again, it's not a lot, but every little bit can help right now. And wanted to just put that out there if anyone would like to pipe in.
2 things to consider with that particular issue is that we get roughly $70 million a year from gas taxes, give or take. We give $34 million of that to Palm Tran, and the rest is supposed to go to our roads. Mm-hmm. One of the things that this county needs most attention on would be roads, and as much I would love to cut the gas taxes. We just have to make sure that we're going to properly fund the infrastructure that we have constantly talking about. So if we do go down that route, we need to make sure we have found alternate funding for it. And with that, I will recognize Commissioner Sacks was first.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I was opposed to when Palm Beach County raised the gas tax higher than Broward. And I've always been opposed to that, but That was so that we could support our roads. That was many years ago. And I hesitate to, look, we're in a tight situation. Eggs are expensive. Everything's expensive right now. I'd love to cut everything. But I think that what we need to do is try to cut the driving down for our folks, encourage people to use public transportation. I hesitate to cut the gas tax unless we have a deep dive into how much money those taxes are giving to our infrastructure, and how we're going to repay it when those gases go down. What happens then? Do we give the money back? Does money come back to us? So the best thing we can do for our people on these expensive times is encourage them to use public transportation, and to try to keep. I keep in tune with my folks it's so that we help each other out. We got good food banks. People are hurting. I understand that, Vice Mayor. But I know we have gas taxes here in Palm Beach are higher than Broward. I used to drive to Broward to get taxed for my big vans, But I think that right now we just need to, as far as I'm concerned, my suggestion, just stay close to our people and folks who are homeless, to help them find a place, a shelter, or at least a little house, and our food banks stay open. And we're hopefully, God willing, we'll get through this war and we can get back to normal. But I appreciate your interest in that. Thank you, Vice Mayor.
Administrator Abruzzo, you were first.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I will get a feasibility study done on this by the end of the day, not 6 months. The state, obviously, in that number, the state takes a sizable chunk under the state fuel tax, which wouldn't be an elimination of full taxes, but I will get our local option sales tax numbers and how it's spent and where every penny goes.
Thank you for that. Commissioner Flores?
I think everybody is feeling the gas crunch right now. However, this is a mess that was created above our pay grades, and it seems like that hasn't been fully resolved. It seems like there was some good news, I think, came out yesterday that hopefully we're stopping the conflict that created this whole bottleneck on crude oil. So I don't think we should be jumping right now. Let things sort of play out. It's also early in this particular conflict. So hopefully we'll take our P's and Q's from the person at the helm, our president, and I don't think we should be reacting this quickly in this particular time. So I think things will sort of work itself out hopefully with the resolve of this particular conflict. So that would be my stay the course. I think we should continue to monitor the situation, but I think we stay the course.
Okay, but to be clear, Administrator Abruzzo, you could get those numbers just so we actually know what we're talking about here. And it's not something we could even, you can't do it from board direction. It would have to come back. There's bigger discussion to be had, which is what I wanted to start. And again, a temporary pause, because I don't think that this lasts forever. But again, any little bit that we can do to help people, I think we should look at it and consider it. Thank you.
Just to bring back information.
He's going to get it, he said, by the end of the day.
Direction is, unless there's an objection, do you not want the information?
I'm sorry, are you opposing to the information being given to us? Thank you.
Okay, no more direction. Comments. Commissioner Sacks, do you have any comments?
Tomorrow's my birthday.
Happy birthday.
A lot of people like to hide their birthday. I love my birthdays. I do. And somebody else who, okay, I don't think so. Yes, but any birthdays are in March. I think we just celebrate them all and have a good time. But thank you. I always enjoy our discussions here. And thank you very much for your leadership, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Flores?
Happy 21st. I love it. Thank you. I just have to correct I think on March 10th, I requested an offsite proclamation on behalf of Commissioner Sachs. However, the date was wrong, so it was, for the record, it was March 14th, 2026, as El Circulo Day. Is that good, ma'am? Thank you. All right. Do we need a motion?
A new motion, or is that okay just to update it for the record?
The Italians don't.
If she does, okay, I have a motion by Commissioner Flores, a second by Commissioner Sachs. All in favor? Any opposed? Please have the motion carry 6-0. Moving on, Vice Mayor Woodward.
Thank you. I would like to request an off-site proclamation recognizing the 50th anniversary of the sister cities relationship between Delray Beach and Miyazu, Japan, to be presented in Miyazu, Japan early next month. And Commissioner Sachs is going to go with them to present in Japan on my behalf.
I have a motion by Commissioner Woodward, or excuse me, Vice Mayor Woodward. I have a second by?
Second.
Yes, Commissioner Sachs. All in favor? Any opposed? Please have motion carries 6-0. Anything else, Commissioner Vice Mayor? Commissioner Powell.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd like to do a district appointment. I'd like to appoint Keith Golden to the Emergency Medical Services Advisory Council. Again, that's appointment of Keith Golden to the Emergency Medical Services Advisory Council.
I just want you to say effective immediately.
Effective immediately without any objection.
You need anything else, Clerk? Okay, good.
Thank you.
Commissioner Marino.
Yes, I do also have a board appointment, Dr. David Fitzpatrick to the Business Development Board. Thank you.
Okay. With that, we are adjourned.